going to help count into what we're going to decide.
In terms of the wide receiver roster battle, you have moved a couple guys out over the last couple weeks, but you still have probably more guys and spots available. What do you see as the biggest differentiation between some of these guys at the end?
Well, it's really going to be about productivity, doing your job, making things happen this last game, this last week of practice for that matter too.
You mentioned those two plays with Apke where how important is that bounce back to you to see how guys respond after making a mistake?
Oh, that's big. It really is. Sometimes if it gets a guy and it affects the way he plays the rest of the game, you got to be concerned. But, he's got to have that cornerback mentality, just move on to the next one. He showed it today. But again, it's what did he learn? Is he going to take what just happened to him and use it going forward for the next rep? Those are things that we're interested in.
Coming off the COVID list that tested positive for COVID, how cognizant do you guys have to be as coaches, training staff, on just where they are health-wise? Are there things that you've had to adjust to?
We've had to be very aware of it. Some of the smaller guys coming off has not been that big a deal in terms of watching them for their conditioning. One of our big guys coming off it, we had to bring him along gradually. We had to be careful. We had to be smart about it. And they have to do everything. They've got to do all the imaging and everything. So, and that takes time as well. But, you want to be safer than sorry. That's for sure.
Hey, Ron, I have kind of an offbeat question for you. If you have a defense or an offense that's been successful that year before, is it harder to maybe get that offense or defense to play as well that coming year?
Well, I think the big thing for me and the thing I'm always concerned with is, and I told you guys from the beginning, it's about our maturity. At what level are we? We did do some good things last year as a defense, but I think we finished number 2 in total defense. Well, that's great, but that doesn't mean you're going to be number 2 again. So, did we mature enough that we understand that and we're going to get back to work? That's the question I'm trying to get right now. I'm trying to understand as far as our football team is concerned. And you don't want to go at this thinking, oh, we've arrived. We're here. And that to me is really important. So is it hard to get back there? It shouldn't be, in my opinion, if you have the right approach, especially if you've got a lot of the same guys back and you've added on a couple of pieces you feel good about. You hope that it's you're building and it's trending in the right direction. That's what I hope I'm seeing right now.
So it's less about the side of the ball that you're on. Maybe in Carolina with Cam and them, it's not about the side of the ball, it's more about the personnel?
Yeah, more so than anything else. I mean, if you added the right kind of players, if you've improved at positions, then you would expect that you would improve. I mean, one of the things that we did this offseason with a conscious effort was we were going to improve our team speed, and I believe we've done that. That should give us an opportunity to be better. And again, the wide receiver position is a great example of the competition. We've let a couple of guys go already, but you look at the guys and go, man, we still got tough decisions to make. We've got guys that roster. So this next week, how we practice, how we play, it's going to be very important for us when it comes to decision time.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
That's it. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Hi, Kendall. It seems like you're moving around quite a bit. Is that preseason camp, just kind of everybody experimenting to see where people fit, or is that an expectation that you have that you'll be moving around quite a bit in the secondary?
I think I'll definitely be moving around more than last year. And it's just, the coach is just trying to figure out, what's the best 11 guys for us to be on the field. We got so much talent in the DB room, so, it could be snaps where you're at corner, snaps where you're at nickel, snaps where you're at safety. So just going out there and just trying to get the best 11 guys out there. Even guys that's coming in, just get the best guys out there to help us make plays.
Do you like moving around even in the middle of the game? And what sort of adjustment does that require on your part as you're doing that?
I mean, it's just a challenge throughout the week, because everything's the same, but it's different things that you just got to prepare for, stuff that you got to prepare for on the outside, on the inside, and things like that. So, it's definitely you got to be sharp in your preparation and just make sure you're prepared on Sundays.
Can you shed some light on Landon Collins, what he's meant to the unit coming back and what he went through to get there?
I mean, yeah, we were actually, kind of training at the same spot out in Florida. So I can, even OTAs, when I saw him come in, I knew that he was going to come back healthy. OTAs, I was joking with him because last year, early in camp, he was telling me to sit down, get out of practice, and just get healthy. And OTAs, I was telling him the same thing. So it's been good, man. Just him having those fresh legs, that energy that he brings. You could just see in the preseason game, once he sees something, he goes and gets it. So just having that mentality, coming from a guy in the back end is big for us.
Obviously, he's physically so much better, but it seems like mentally he's pretty driven. What's he trying to prove here?
I mean, I think that's just what Coach Rivera does. He brings guys in that just love football. I could see that when I came in last year. You can see it on tape when he was in New York. So he's just a guy that just loves ball.
I guess I'll stay over here. Kendall, going back to some of the positional stuff, when you have guys like Benjamin and Jimmy, you guys can do different things. And they talked about wanting to increase, I guess, the coverages that you guys run. How important is that for you, and what kind of advantage does that give you guys?
I mean, just being able to give defenses different looks. We line up in a certain personnel or line up with a certain look and have 3-4 play calls off of that same look. So, you're keeping a different offense on their toes. Just like we got to slow down and think sometimes, we want to be able to slow them down, make them think, slow them down and stuff like that. So being able to, have a bunch of different looks with the same look is going to be big for us.
It's been progressed throughout camp.
Good, man. Just everybody just come in just learning from each other. Everybody's learning from each other. Everybody's being a leader. And it's been good to see them. Shoot, Torrey, Juice, Jimmy, all those guys go out in the preseason, make plays, and that's what they've been doing all camp. Danny, so it's been fun.
As someone who's switched teams in free agency, switched systems, et cetera, can you give us an idea what William Jackson III is going through and maybe what can be some of the bigger challenges in pulling off that transition?
I mean, I think a lot of it is just learning terminology. At the end of the day, football is football. It's a little different things anytime you go to a new defense and system, but at the end of the day, defense is defense. And, I kind of told him and a lot of the guys that came in, like, the same looks that they might have been confused about or they're just trying to get sharp on. Like I told them, like me, Darby, Jimmy, like all of us was the same way at the exact same time last year. So, I think having guys like me, Jimmy, Landon, Cam, guys that was in the same position last year and being able to give them the key that got us over the hump has been big. And you see them progressing like it's nothing. So it's been fun.
Type of thing that maybe takes a couple regular season games to work through too, or do you feel like you can get there with another preseason game in practice and then kind of be in sync?
No, I mean, I think having OTAs, having, all these camp days, having preseason games, anytime we go out there by the regular season, we ready, where our goal is to be hitting in all cylinders.
Hey, Kendall, you mentioned that Torrey McTyer is a player that stood out to you. Why do you feel like he's had so much success in this particular preseason training camp session? Why has he had the success he's had so far? I
mean, he's just a talented player. He's a guy that competes. He can do a lot of different things. And, he's been making a lot of plays on the ball. At the end of the day, production is at the ball. So anytime you get a guy coming in, getting his hand on the ball a lot, that's something that, you want on the defense.
And then Ron was saying that he felt like, and this is something that Jack approached him about, was that you guys played zone a little bit too much last year, and so that they want to bring in a guy like William Jackson so that you guys could play a little bit more man. For you all as players, when you guys are having that kind of conversation, what does that go like when a coach is saying, we're going to do a little bit less of this thing we've done last year, we're going to transition to this thing? How does that usually go exactly?
I mean, as players, you want to be able to do everything. You don't want your D coordinators to feel like they can only do one thing. So, for us, it's just playing football. I think for me, last year was a lot of zone. When I was in Kansas City, there was a lot of man. When I was here the first time, it was a little bit of mix of both. So, just you can do it all. DBs, that's what you get paid to do. Be able to play zone, play man, do whatever you need to do to help the team win. Just when all 11 guys just do their job, if each guy's where he's supposed to be, does his job, we're going to be solid as a defense.
I think it's fair to say there's a unit with a lot of expectations or maybe hype behind it. People are expecting big things. How do you guys handle that internally?
Hype doesn't mean anything at the end of this day. It's a business where, it's all about production. It's all about what you did lately. Anything that we did last year, it could sound good, but it doesn't mean anything. And, every time we step out on the field against our offense, they don't care about what we did last year. Preseason, regular season, team's not going to care. You got to go out there and show them who you are that day.
Do you sense it, though? This is a group that can do something special?
I sensed it last year, So we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing, keep on putting our heads down, and keep on working.
Last one. Just generally, is it harder to go from more man to zone or zone to more man?
I don't know. For me, it's the same. I think when I was at Virginia Tech, we were a big man team. You go somewhere, and it's just like the coaches preach. You want guys that can be able to do everything. Guys that can play man, guys that can play zone. That makes it easier for a D coordinator because you're not limited on what you can call and what you can do. So for me, it's all the same. It's just going out there and playing DB.
I think as one more, Troy Apke, what have you seen from him?
Yeah, honestly, I think these last couple practices that we've had, he's been showing out a lot, getting his hands on the ball. Like I said, production in this league, defensively, production is at the ball. And these last couple practices especially, he's been doing a good job at that.
All right, thanks, Kendall. Thanks, guys.
What's up, Logan?
How we doing?
This time,
Yeah, good.
It's a minor improvement.
Somebody's throwing water out there. I don't know who
That's
it
crazy,
was.
right?
Yeah.
Just people throwing water anywhere. It's wild. But anywho, you were saying doing training camp when you first got that contract. What was the next step in your progression? And you said it was to make your teammates better. How do you feel that process is going for you so far? What have you tangibly seen from that?
I think from the tight end position, I see guys making plays, being confident in themselves and knowing what they're supposed to do, using the footwork they're supposed to, and not totally on me, but also on them of growing and Coach Pete, harping it and pushing it into them. So that's kind of my job, and of being the old guy in the room.
Which, of course, is all relative being old. But then you guys have had 2 preseason games under your belt now. You guys have kind of seen where you stack up. How do you feel about where the offense currently stands, and what are some things you'd like to see improved in the next preseason game and moving forward?
Yeah, offensively, we've moved the ball. We haven't had a problem moving the ball. We've just had a problem punching it in. So when we get to the red zone or we get down to the high red and the strike zone, we got to be able to be better. We got to convert on 4th and 1. We got to be able to pick up the 3rd and shorts and keep drives moving. And then when we get in the red, punch it in. And so, yeah, we've moved the ball well. but we just got to finish.
If I might ask really quickly, what do you feel like is the symptom of like not punching it into the red zone? What do you guys feel like you need to do differently to get over that hump in particular? What have you consistently seen?
It's all 11 guys doing their job. In the last couple have been one play here, one person here misses an assignment. I in the last game missed an assignment and prevented us from doing it, and so it's just one person, or should I say all 11 being on the same page and not one person busting and giving the defense a chance to make a play.
Hey, Logan, when you last year during camp, you started to flash and everybody started to notice you more, and you obviously had your season. Where do you see yourself even out here because of that extra confidence that maybe you gained from that, making better, different plays? Do you see that transpiring right here?
Yeah, so this year it's allowed me to have a little freedom in changing up the stuff that I want to work on. I know what I can do in certain routes and certain coverages, how to do it, but now I have a chance to work on something else, like a counter move off of what I've been doing, and so it's been easier for me to say, look, I'm going to try something here, and the coach has been very cool about it too.
Those like in a practice in a game, and they're not, because again, all we're going to see are end results. So it's, oh, he didn't get open, he did. How many times are you going back and looking and say, this worked, this didn't, or I have to improve here or throw this one out?
Yeah, it's every day. I mean, you're evaluating every day. You're watching film and you're like, all right, yeah, I should probably not do that one anymore. Or, yeah, I mean, that one kind of worked. Wasn't exactly the outcome we want, but it could, and then you work on it more. So it's kind of a trial and error situation, and by the time you get to week one, everything's locked down in stone, and anything not to screw the quarterback.
I know this offseason you went to that tight end university. Were you able to gain much from that? And what are you the type of person that goes back and looks at film of other tight ends just to kind of see what they're doing, see if there's anything you can apply to your game?
Yeah, the tight end U was awesome, man. Just being around guys that are like-minded. Kelsey and Kittle and Olsen, they all did presenting, and then Waller presented some stuff as well, and just kind of picking their mind and seeing how they see the game and certain routes and how they run things. And then Kittle gave a full seminar about the run game, and he's one of the greatest run blocking tight ends there is, and just the way he approaches it, it's not all about power. It's sometimes about finesse and footwork and hand placement, and he's seeing to the next level and that stuff. So it's kind of just opening your mind to the horizon that there is, and kind of the way they view things. And yeah, it was an awesome time.
I noticed at practice, you're always glued to Pete Hainer. How has he helped you over the last year and a half or so as you've made this transition, really?
Well, shit, he's a guy who's coached for 40 years, and I think he's probably seen just about everything. Now, we've done some things that surprise him. I mean, he hasn't seen it, and he laughs about it, but he's just picking up his knowledge. I mean, 40 years of knowledge, you can't get it all at once, so the more you talk to him, the more you pick up on it.
Is he the type of coach that really works well for you, just in how he teaches it and everything?
Yeah, absolutely, because he teaches everybody the same way. Now, he may push people a little harder who need pushing. He might yell at some person a little bit more. He might just talk to, like for me, I'm the type of guy that you can just talk to me and I understand it. But he knows sometimes I need a kick in the butt and he'll do it. But he understands his players and how to get through his players, and that's the thing that separates him.
So wondering if you've chatted with Justice Reed on the defense. He was a Hokie last year. He was in college for 7 years. I was wondering what you would think of staying in college for 7 years.
I thought 5 was a lot. 7, a couple of victory laps. What's that, 3 victory laps there? Man, that's a while. I don't know if I could have done that, but I guess they just talked to his resilience as well. I mean, he still made it to ultimately where he wanted to be. This is a tough place to get to. Just making a training camp roster is, the 1% of the 1%. So, yeah, I've had a couple conversations with him. We talk about being back in Blacksburg, and he's a good kid, and I've enjoyed my conversations with him.
I wanted to ask you about Taylor Heineke as well. Just what you've learned. I know he was around towards the end of last year, but what you've learned having a whole offseason with him. Me
and Taylor have become really good friends. Obviously, he went to school in Virginia, so we got that in common. But the guy's kind of like me. He's just an old soul. He's not one of those new age guys who, is worried about being the flash and all that stuff. And just a good dude. I enjoy being around him. His locker room presence is like an old man as well, just like Fitz is. So it's really cool just being around those guys. And he actually gave me a ride to the game this past week, and we talked for a while. I'm just not. I'm not all about the flash. I'm not all about the hype. I just kind of keep my head down and go about it. I stay off of the internet for the most part. So that's kind of who we are, kind of how I go about things, and it's kind of the character of most of the guys on this team.
Does Taylor drive as wildly as sometimes he plays, kind of run around the backfield like that?
Like I said, he's an old soul. No, absolutely not. No, he's relaxed. He's kind of drives like me. That's why I ride with him.
Sure. For someone who played quarterback for so long and now transitioned to tight end, you rarely seem to drop a pass. Have you kind of always noticed that about yourself, that you've always had good hands, even though you haven't necessarily played a pass-catching position your whole career?
Yeah, growing up, I always visioned myself as a receiver. My grandfather would take me in the side yard and just throw it around, and I love not having the easy ones. He'd always try to throw it over my head or at my feet or at my knees, outside the framework of the body. And so that kind of developed my hands at that age, and then at quarterback, you catch the ball every play. So I feel like I've always been confident in my hands, but the more work I've put in, the more and more confident I've been in them.
It's a guy who's gotten some first team reps here and there every once in a while. What have you seen out of him over the past month?
Yeah, he's growing. Rookie tight ends are tough to play in this league, and it hasn't been a tough transition for him. He's so smart to where he doesn't have to worry about what's going on in the playbook. He doesn't have to worry about how to get lined up, what the defense is going to do on this play. He understands all that stuff. For him, it's just going out and playing and being as physical as possible, good hand placement, good feet, and moving people. So I've been excited to work with John and actually just learning from him as well.
Thanks, Logan.
Thank you, guys.